So this is a 125-gallon aquarium. At the moment I am filtering this aquarium with a Fluval FX6 canister filter. I love these filters because they operate so quietly and also because they have such a strong output. I also have a Night Crew LED aquarium light. I love these lights because they're pretty inexpensive and they have just great results. I'm trying to grow algae in this aquarium because these fish are mainly herbivores. They like to eat algae in the wild, so it's nice to replicate that in the aquarium. And this light does a great job growing green algae, which is awesome. I love the look of green algae, and these fish, they love the taste of green algae. We also have some purple algae and we have some brown algae, so that's great. And then besides that, we have heaters. The heaters are plugged out at the moment because the fish room is still pretty warm, but I believe in the weeks to come I will have to turn them on. I have two of them, but I use one at a time, and the reason why I have to is because these things break every now and then. When I say break, I'm referring to the computer. It gets inaccurate, so it's good to have two of them. And the company actually sent me a backup one because the first one was broken. So I plug them out and they reset or whatever, but every now and then they do break, so they take turns. And these are high gear heaters, and I never really had success with heaters. All my heaters suck, so these are actually better than my previous experiences with heaters. However, they're obviously not great. And then eventually I may be adding a circulation pump, because while my Fluval FX6 does have a great output with this 6-foot aquarium, this left side does, it is a little bit still, a little bit too still for what I want. Right now it's okay, but eventually as these fish get bigger, some of these fish will get 6-7 inches, and there's so many of them, it's best to have as much surface agitation as possible. So eventually I'll be tossing a circulation pump to this side of the aquarium. Besides that, these are all African cichlids with the exception of two fish, my bristlenose pleco and also this African leaf fish. The African leaf fish was added to the tank about a week ago. He was previously living inside of my 350-gallon aquarium over there, but he was experiencing too much aggression, so I brought him over here. And this tank, he should get a lot of respect because he's a big fish compared to these guys, and also he should help me with population control, because these Mbuna cichlids, which are the main group of fish in here, everyone else are Mbuna cichlids, and these guys, they breed like crazy. They're mouth brooders, so the male, he fertilizes the female's eggs, she puts them in her mouth and she takes care of them, and that is just a very successful way of breeding. And at the moment we actually have 3 females holding eggs in their mouths. So we have my 2 yellowtail ACI, one right here, this is the male that got them pregnant, or that fertilized the eggs. We have another one back there, and one of my yellow labs was holding eggs. And I started with 3 yellow labs, and now I have 8 altogether because they just keep breeding. My yellowtail ACI, I have 7 of them because these little guys were all born in this aquarium. So yeah, the leaf fish hopefully can control that, because it's nice right now. It's really cute to see the babies swimming around, but eventually these babies will try to kill their parents because that's just the nature of these fish. But yeah, just a nice collection of Mbuna cichlids. Very beautiful fish, great color, consistent color. Even when these guys are not happy, although I try my best to make them happy, but even if they're being bullied or picked on, they still show excellent colors. And we just have a mix of zebra cichlids, like the cobalt blue zebra, who's the tank boss, the red zebra, which is actually an orange fish, but just a very consistent orange color, very beautiful. The yellowtail ACI, like I said, we have about 7 of them because they keep breeding. The yellow labs, we have about 8 of those because they are non-stop breeding. We have my pearl zebra right here. We have an albino red top zebra somewhere back there. We have Masowa Deep Mungunga, this guy right here. This is probably my favorite. I love his color. And then his females are this color. And yeah, just a nice mix of Mbuna. This right here is a very beautiful one as well. Not Aratus. I forgot the name of it, but I'll give you guys the name on the screen. Very beautiful fish. But these guys, they're known for their beauty. They're known for their color. They're known for looking like saltwater fish, and they definitely are doing a good job satisfying my want for color when it comes to just all my aquarium wants. So yeah, this is a 125-gallon aquarium, and these guys will continue to grow and they will look awesome. Like I said, I will be looking for maybe 1 or 2 more. Like this fish, I wanted it to be a male. This is a yellowtop afra. I ordered it as a male and it's looking like a female. This one I wanted to be a Mason Reef male. I ordered it specifically to be a male and ended up being a female. So those 2 fish are on my wish list. If I get those, this tank will be perfection. So we have another 125-gallon aquarium. This tank is currently being filtered with a Fluval Aqua Clear 125. Definitely love these filters because look at that, beautiful surface agitation. This is something highly beneficial for your aquariums. I try to add it in all my aquariums, and usually the more disturbed the surface of your water is, the better it is for the oxygen exchange process to take place, and it creates a just more healthy environment for these fish that are living in these boxes. I have a Night Crew LED light. I have these right here. These were meant to hold up plants, little plant islands. I had plants growing nicely. Then one day the main fish of this aquarium just decided to destroy them, and that is this guy right here. So this is Endonimus. He is a Jagovii hybrid. Right now he's in base mode, not really feeling the need to show any cool colors, but I love this guy. I love his personality. I love his responsiveness, and he does have the potential to show some awesome colors. And to unlock those colors, we got to show him some fierce competition, and that is himself. So if I go with the mirror for a little bit, this guy does wake up, and the responsiveness of this fish is just incredible. But you put the mirror there, and eventually he does his thing. He tries to fight that guy in the reflection. You can hear too the sounds, and look at that change of color. We just unlocked his gold form. Definitely a very gorgeous fish. You can see the Jaguar and the Jagovii both inside this guy. A very beautiful fish. But whenever you use that mirror, he gets very provoked, and after that he's just even more responsive. So I don't do the mirror trick too often because I don't want to stress him out too much. But definitely a very awesome fish. About 10 inches now, about 1 year old, and he's only going to get more bigger, more responsive, and more incredible. So he's in this aquarium, and he shares it with a female convict. She was one of like 20 that I added to this tank to be feeders. He ate the rest, and he just couldn't catch her, and now it's at the point where he just coexists with her. She's actually in there. This post right here is annoying, but she's in there underneath the rocks, and I can see her, but I can't get a good angle with the camera. But she's about 1 inch, and she stays in there. She's definitely a female because now she's showing that orange stomach that the females normally show. And who knows, maybe one day she's going to lay some eggs and he's going to fertilize them. These two are able to create hybrids, and that definitely would be crazy because the output would be 50% convict, 25% Jagovii, 25% Jaguar. You can see the convict in here. Very tiny little fish, and he allows her to live with them, and it's pretty cool because he eats. I don't feed her specifically, I feed him. He eats his pellets, and he makes such a mess. She comes right underneath him and eats the stuff that comes out of his mouth. So pretty cool relationship between the two of them. That is my 125-gallon Endonimus aquarium. This right here is a 40-gallon aquarium turned sideways. In the back we have 2 sponge filters for filtration. On top I just have a LED light from Marineland. Definitely not my favorite light. That's the reason why I tossed it on this aquarium. Normally this is my hospital aquarium, but I'm just using it as a grow-out aquarium. Back in spring my koi spawned in my backyard pond, and I tried to get out as many as I could. I did get out a lot. I got out at least 100 babies, but if you saw my video about this project, the babies started to cannibalize each other, and now I have about a dozen. So these guys, they are pretty shy. I added the plants just to slow down the cannibalism, but they're pretty shy, and they're pretty small as well. We have one right there, which is about, I'd say, a centimeter. The largest is about 1 inch, and they're in here doing their thing. I'm thinking about just taking them to the local fish store and getting them for credit and just trade them for fish food or something, because these guys, I'm not going to put them on my pond because my pond is already overstocked. So really, ultimately, I'm going to take them to the local fish store anyway, and I'm just going to do it now because I barely see them in this aquarium. And I think in a local fish store, if they're in an aquarium with more koi, they're going to get more used to seeing people and everything like that, and they're just going to grow faster and have a better chance. So yeah, I'm going to take them out of this aquarium. I'm also growing out some of these pond snails by mistake when I brought some of this stuff from the pond, because a lot of this had eggs on them. When I brought it into this aquarium, I also brought some snails. And I'm growing out these snails, which is a good thing because a lot of the cichlids at my other aquariums like to eat them, because these pond snails, they have very soft shells, and so they're easily fed to cichlids. But yeah, that's that aquarium. They have an angry neighbor who's always trying to eat them. To be honest, I have fed a few of them to Endonimus, every now and then when I do a water change. In this aquarium I do water changes with buckets, and if a fish is willing to swim down the tube into the bucket, he's going into Anonymous's tank. So he's their neighbor. But I think eventually I might try to get my VA hop here in here, my black belt and my pink Fenestratus, the two right there. I want to put them in this aquarium, see if I could get them to breed. They definitely want to breed. This is a decent sized tank for them, and we'll see how that turns out. So this right here is my 350 gallon aquarium. Now with this update, I'm not going to go into too much detail when it comes to the fish, because I just made a very detailed video about all the fish in this aquarium, their ranks and their behavior. So if you want to know more about that, you can watch that video. This is going to be talking about some of the other details that I don't really cover with this aquarium. So this tank is 8 feet long, it is 3 feet wide, and it is 2 feet tall. It is being filtered with my sump system. It is being shared with filtration with my 880 gallon aquarium. So the water in this aquarium is drained with this right here. This is my overflow. It drains down, comes into this chamber. Right here it has a bunch of mechanical filtration in this tower. Then it goes down and I have a bunch of lava rocks for biological filtration. Then it flows into here with more biological filtration, and then it's shot right back into the aquarium. And this is the output over there. But this tank being 8 feet long, I needed more surface agitation, and I have this circulation pump, and this right here is just beautiful. Like I always say this, I could come and I could just watch this flow just continuously, because look at that, it's mesmerizing, so relaxing to watch. And besides the look of it, it is very beneficial because it is great for surface agitation. I have some plants in here, which is pretty unique because a lot of these fish are herbivores. I've tried many plants and they've been destroying them, but these I just can't get. And I love how these plants are adapting. Normally the roots from this pothos grow nice and long. An example is in this aquarium, but you can't really see because it's way in the back. But normally with the pothos, the roots grow extremely long. And this aquarium we have herbivorous fish, so look at how short the roots are. And it just shows you how awesome plants are, how adaptable plants are. But I have that in here just trying to help me out with the nitrates. Besides that, in this aquarium, some of the creatures that don't get a lot of attention are my nyrite snails. And these guys are in here doing a fantastic job, especially when you consider their size. These guys, so tiny. Now I know I added 25 of them, and I know a lot of them were killed by my bottle sharks. We actually have an empty shell right here. So a lot of them were assassinated by the fish. But these little guys are doing a fantastic job with the algae in this aquarium. We have a ton of algae growth coming from my microlites. I love micro, as I told you guys. And these, I want them to grow algae in some of my aquariums, but not in this aquarium because this tank is just, it's hard to clean the algae. It is acrylic, so it does scratch easily. I was looking for a way to solve my algae issue, and these nyrite snails are slow, but they are very effective. And this wall, the last time I showed you guys this video, this entire wall was covered with algae this thick like that down there. And look at the difference in 1 week, and that is impressive. So we have one right here, I see two back there, and I saw two on this side. I don't know how many are left. I know I added 25, and I'm probably going to add another 25 because these guys, they don't really add too much to the bio load while making a huge difference when it comes to cleaning up the walls of this aquarium. This tank actually needs a cleaning. I didn't do a water change Sunday. Normally I do a water change every Sunday. So probably after this video I'm going to get a water change done. But everything else still the same. Everybody else still doing the same. I may be doing a rescape because I am getting a little bit tired of the way this tank looks as far as the scape. But yeah, this is the 350, and as of now it's doing its thing. So this right here is my 880 gallon aquarium. This is a DIY plywood aquarium. The tank is now 13 months old. We just passed the 1 year anniversary back in August, which is awesome. The tank is 8 feet long, it is 4 feet wide, and it is 4 feet deep, although we keep the water about 2 inches from the surface, and that gives us approximately 880 gallons of water. When it comes to filtration, I showed you earlier, we share filtration with the 350, and it has my DIY sump system. When it comes to lights, I have two of these 4-foot Nicrew Classic Plus LEDs. Now these are the Nicrew Pluses, and they have a few more color spectrums. They have reds, they have greens, and they just have a stronger output, which is beneficial for these plants. Now originally when I designed this aquarium, the blueprints, I knew I wanted plants within these beams, but I didn't know how awesome these plants were going to be. I wanted plants because I know that they remove nitrate, but I didn't know that they're just awesome to collect. Now this is becoming my second hobby, collecting plants. I love the different textures and shapes, and just the adaptableness of these plants is really awesome. And if you have the space above or in your aquarium, it's definitely worth checking out because they remove nitrates and they definitely are some awesome creatures. So we have some, this is a peace lily, a nice sized peace lily. We have another one. When I bought this one, it was definitely smaller than this one, so it's nice to see it get so big. We have Wandering Jew Zabrina. We have pothos right here, more pothos. We have purple Wandering Jew. We have a Boston Fern in the back, more pothos. We have a Dracaena, pothos to the left. This is a Boston Fern. We have a nerve plant in there, more nerve plants, and some polka dot plants. Just a nice collection of plants, and like I said, this is becoming another hobby for me. I have plants all over the house because when you consider how beneficial they are, and also they're nice decorations for your home. So definitely something worth considering if you're looking for something to do with your spare time, if you're looking for a way to enhance your aquarium, or just for another hobby. Besides that, when it comes to the underwater life, we have a few more plants under the water. We have mostly or all Anubias and Java Fern. The Anubias is great because it's very hardy. My flagtail, this fish right here, will come and lick or suck. I don't know how you would describe that behavior, but he would come over here and clean algae off the leaves, and the Anubias can handle it very well. The Java Fern has been in the tank for about a week, and I'm actually surprised that it's still intact. Java Fern is definitely not built the same way as Anubias. It's a little bit more easy to rip up, so I am impressed that it's still attached, and hopefully it could stay attached because it looks great and it's also doing a great job benefiting my water. Besides that, we have one more plant over here that is another piece of Anubias. Smaller leaves because this leaf or this plant is about, I'd say, 5 feet from the light. Remember, the tank is 4 feet, and then we have about another 1.5 feet from the light. So with the rock that is on, I'd say about 5 feet from the light. So it's nice to see it's growing down here. But yeah, just in order to make the perfect ecosystem, plants are a must. So that's the reason why I want to give you guys a look at all those plants. Besides that, when it comes to fish, the biggest fish in the aquarium, Cichlid tomensis peacock bass. I had him for about a year when I bought him. He was smaller than that azul. He was about 8 inches when I bought him. Now he's easily over 20 inches. If I had to guess, I'd say 23 inches. But he's a big fish. He could fit my fist into his mouth. So he's a very large fish, very impressive. But he is not the most dominant fish of the aquarium. The dominant fish is my Cichlid lenticulata, my spotted-faced pike. A fish that I don't always agree with. I don't like his personality sometimes, but I will say that he is an interesting fish. He's down here, and this tank has a blind spot, but he's underneath over here. But yeah, he's 14 inches, and he has some serious attitude problems. Now, he's currently the tank boss, but he's beginning a lot of opposition from my male jaguar cichlid. Now, the male jaguar cichlid is, I think he's about 12 inches, and this guy has teeth. So there's a good chance he may become tank boss. And if that does happen, we have problems because we have this female over here, which is Exantic, if that's how you pronounce it. But she's the gold form of the jaguar cichlid. And once he's tank boss, I think she's definitely going to give in. She's going to lay some eggs, and they're going to cause some chaos. So yeah, if the pike loses his authority to the jaguar, this tank is going to go into absolute chaos. But the pike is holding his ground. Today I saw him, the two lip lock together, and the pike seemed to be victorious. He is the bigger fish, so hopefully he's able to hold off a little bit longer. Look at this guy, just huge. After that, the hierarchy is a little bit more complicated because everybody else is like either the same size or just the same aggressive level. So after that is, I'd say, my peacock bass, this guy. He's the third ranking fish just because of his size, the biggest fish that I currently keep. He's a beast. He does get some opposition from this guy. I think it's because of the color comparison. They are similar in color, and it's very shocking because these fish are known to be peaceful. My flagtail Cichlid, but he likes to fight the peacock bass. Sometimes the peacock bass run from him, and he's a pretty big fish. If I had to guess his size, I'd say 16 inches or so. He's a decent sized flagtail, and I love him. He's the algae eater of the aquarium. He's the only fish that's not a predator, and he leaves my plants alone, and just a very, very well behaved fish. Oh, look at that. Then we have my female jaguar. She's actually bigger than the male. She's about 1 year older. So she's about maybe an inch taller, an inch thicker. I think he's about the same length though. After that, we have the fish that were added about a month ago. Cichlid mono. I think he's the next ranking. He's a male. He had a nuclear hump before, but because he's dropped his rank being in this tank with larger fish. Oh no, we have my ornatus, my Messer's, not ornatus, my Jagovii is over here. He is the fish that's ranking after my female jaguar. He's about 10 inches, very beautiful fish, but he's not going to come out of the shadows. But yeah, after that we have the mono, then we have the azul. The mono and the azul might be on the same level of the harky. I catch them fighting every now and then. The azul is actually about an inch longer than the mono, at about maybe 13 inches, 12 and a half inches maybe. While the mono is smaller. That's a better look at the Jagovii right there. Who else? We have the Oscar cichlid. This guy is crazy. He's one of the smallest fish in the tank, and he's trying to show aggression towards some of the biggest fish, like my jaguars. And that's very dangerous. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you'll see some of the videos of this guy trying to fight my jaguar. And the jaguar is going easy on him, but if she wants to, she could kill him. So he definitely needs to calm down. I do believe it's a male. Somebody named it Bruno because of that bead, which is awesome. So this is Bruno the Oscar. And then we have the fish that don't participate in the hierarchy. We have my Polypterus elacheri going in the blind spot. He's about, I'd say, 12 inches. We have two of these 4-line pictus catfish. Both of them are about 12 inches as well. And then we have my ghost knife. He keeps yawning because he's ready to eat. Then we have my ghost knife who stays in this little cave that I made for him. And a ghost knife is a very big fish as well. He's long. He's not the biggest fish because he's skinny, but he's a long fish. And I'd say he's about maybe close to 20 inches long, the ghost knife. But he's like a narrow fish. But he stays in that tube and he'll be coming out later when it's time to feed. But yeah, that is a look at my 880 gallon aquarium. Maybe I'll give you guys a video that is just more cinematic, focusing on these beautiful fish because they are beautiful. But yeah, that is the tank as of today. Eventually, I might be taking out that jaguar. If he is victorious over the pike, then I have no choice. I'm going to take him out, and I'm going to bring my 2 peacock bass from my 210 into this aquarium. Okay, so here we have my 210 gallon aquarium. Normally, I try to avoid filming this aquarium during the daytime because the glare is terrible. However, these are 2 big fish, and it should be easy to film them. So on this aquarium, I have a Fluval FX6 brand new. My old Fluval FX6 was broken, and I'm going to blame these 2. I also have my circulation pump broken a few times. I was able to put it back together, but a few times I came home and it was in pieces. And it's because these 2 fish were living inside of my 880 gallon aquarium, and I put them into the tank that was more than 4 times smaller than their previous home. They got claustrophobic, started to panic, and they started to destroy everything. So that was the scenario in this aquarium. These guys weren't happy in a smaller aquarium, and when I moved the fish, I made that video, I told you guys that was a possibility. Moving these guys into a smaller tank, I knew it could have upset them and just destroyed the mood. They were a breeding pair. In my 880, she was the female, he was the male. They were ready to breed. They were definitely like digging a nest and everything. I didn't want them to breed in an 880 because the babies would have been eaten and they would have been too aggressive towards their tank mates, so I brought them up here. But the stress of bringing them up here caused them to, 1, destroy the tank. They had plants ripped down and everything. And then 2, this female caught an internal parasite. So the first few days he was ready to spawn. He cleared out a nest and everything, but she wasn't eating. Then eventually he stopped eating, and it was like 3 weeks of them both not eating. I'm treating the tank with Epsom salt. I'm treating with Prazipro, and it wasn't until last week they started to eat again. So I'm guessing right now they're starting to adjust to this aquarium, to the smaller aquarium, and within the weeks to come they may breed. However, I don't even know if I have that long, because in my 880 gallon aquarium, if my jaguars breed, I'm going to have to bring those 2 up here and take these 2 back down, because the jaguars are going to be a much more dangerous pair to have in my 880 than these guys, or this couple. But they definitely are a nice fish to have up here. I love the size of these guys. I love their beauty. Both of them are showing phenomenal color, and yeah, just awesome fish. It's just they definitely were shocked to be put in such a small aquarium. So I don't think I'm going to be getting a spawn from these 2, just because they don't like the small tank. If I want to spawn these guys, I'm probably going to have to buy like a pool or a large pond or something like that. but this tank for them, especially because they were treated to such a large aquarium for so much of their life. The Orinoco lived inside my 350 from when he was young. Same thing with this mono. Both of them grew up in very large aquariums. So when they're at this size, to put them back into a smaller tank, they just weren't happy with it. But yeah, that's that pair. And yeah, eventually they're probably going to be swapped out with my pair of Jaguars. But for now, they're looking awesome. Who knows? Maybe they'll surprise me with a spawn in the days to come. If that does happen, I'm going to have to put my Jaguar somewhere else if they spawn, because I'm definitely going to keep the fry up here. Look at this. Look at this behavior right here. So they check each other out. They show interest, so who knows? But that's the current state of this pair. And they are some decent sized fish. This mono has to be, I'd say, 18 inches, while the Orinoco has to be about 16, 17 inches. Beautiful fish. But yeah, that's their current state. This is a 20-gallon aquarium. It is a 20 long. This tank doesn't have any artificial source of lights. We only rely on the lights that come from the windows. This tank also does not have any man-made filters. We rely on the plants to remove the nitrates that the fish produce. And this aquarium is all about balance. You want to balance the amount of light that you have, the amount of waste that's being produced by the fish, and the amount of plants in the aquarium to consume the waste. And so far, it's been a very enjoyable aquarium. Surprisingly, it's been very easy to maintain. I'm doing a thing now where I don't do any water changes on this aquarium, because if you test the water, it doesn't need it. There are enough plants to sustain a fish, and like I said, the balance, this ecosystem is complete, and that makes the aquarium all the more enjoyable. So now, as you can see, this tank is very dense with plants. For a substrate, I have dirt, and then I have Eco Complete on top of the dirt, and we're growing a lot of heavy root feeders. We have a lot of dwarf sage, and this dwarf sage is really not a dwarf at all. These leaves are like 12 inches long, so very nice growth. I think that that's because they're getting so much light that they get so big. We have crypts in there. We have some Amazon swords. The Amazon swords were dying off a little bit. It could be that they've used all the substrate already, all the nutrients in the substrate, and that's the reason why they may be starting to die off some of the leaves. Or it could be just all the competition for the nutrients in the water. I'm not sure why I have some of that die off, but it's nothing to the point where it's throwing off the balance of this aquarium. So yeah, we have Amazon swords. I had some dwarf sage in there. Not dwarf sage. I had some Java fern in there. And then I recently added some water wisteria because I have so much in the sister aquarium. I decided to put some in here as well. So we have water wisteria, which grows crazily. It grows out of the water and in the water, which I find to be very cool. And then we have the terrestrial plants. We have this. Honestly, I don't even know the name of it. I pulled it out of my pond. We have lucky bamboo. We have another type of Dracaena. And I'm doing awesome. If you remember before, I had a lot more terrestrial growth, and I'm trying to get back to there. I just took out my lucky bamboo that were nice and tall, and I actually planted them in dirt. This right here grew this tall in this aquarium, and it was getting too tall for the tank, so I put it in dirt. But I want to get there again where I could get some nice height with these terrestrial plants. But so far, I'm loving it. When it comes to the fish, I have my female paradise gourami who actually likes to jump. I'm not sure if it's, I always say this, I'm not sure if it's a good thing for her to know how to do. She actually jumped out twice when I was home, but she knows how to jump. I'm not going to make her jump. She's in here, and then I have 4 cherry barbs. Now I actually have more cherry barbs because they were spawning, but I'm not finding them, so it may be that they jumped out. And the thing is, with this tank, I don't want to put a hood on it because it limits how much terrestrial growth I'm able to have. So yeah, that is the consequence of an open tank like this. So yeah, there were baby cherry barbs, but they are no longer in here, and I do believe they jumped out. Besides that, we have about a dozen nerite snails. We have one right here. We have one right here. Well, maybe we don't have a dozen anymore because I did find a few that climbed out the tank and dried out. Now this one he is out, and I will put him back in, but he wants to be out, so he's going to come back out anyway. So I'm just going to leave him here, and if he falls off, I'll put him back in. But they like to come out, and I even think they go to the next aquarium, which is pretty cool. But yeah, nerite snails, and like I said, it's a complete ecosystem, and it's doing awesome. Now, I was considering changing up some of the fish. The paradise gourami, they're perfect for this setting, but I wanted something a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder, and I was thinking something like a red jewel cichlid because that red is just so intense. But I'm not sure if that's appropriate because, you know, the winters in this room will drop to about maybe 70 degrees if not 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and the jewel won't like that. So I was just doing some research and figuring out if I could change the stocking in this tank a little bit, but as of today, this tank is doing great. So this right here is the sister aquarium to my main no-tech tank. This is also a 20-gallon long aquarium, and this aquarium runs on the same concept: natural light, natural plant filtration for a complete ecosystem. Now this is the second time I've attempted to make a no-tech aquarium, and of course the second time I'm going to be more experienced and just have more knowledge, so I definitely love the results of this tank more than my original. I believe that the plant choice was just superior, and because of that the results are more satisfying. So with the plants, I have plants that naturally prefer this type of environment where there's aquatic and terrestrial life. So we have plants like water wisteria, same as you saw in this aquarium, but this is the mother plant, and you can see it's growing nicely, growing above the water, nice and tall. We have stems about 12 inches growing above the water, and we also have a lot of growth underneath the water. The fish absolutely love this plant. Besides that, we have the umbrella palm. Look at this. This plant right here is about 4 feet tall. So that is pretty impressive. Another plant that normally grows in ponds, so it loves this type of environment. Same thing with the bacopa, pothos. So the choice of plants was a little bit more appropriate, so the plants are doing better. Besides that, underneath the water, we have Jagovii to the right of the tank. Now when I set up this tank, it was in a different room, so the way I set it up was that this right side has dirt, this side doesn't have dirt, it just has gravel. And in the other room, this side was facing the window, so that's the reason why I did it. But now we have a thick forest of Jagovii over there, but because there is no dirt, it's kind of like empty, which isn't bad. It gives the fish swimming space, and there are quite a few fish. So before I had my female, who still is in this aquarium, my female paradise gourami, and in this aquarium I had my male, who's currently in my pond. But they spawned in this aquarium, and now we have about 24 of these baby paradise gourami, and they're about, maybe the smallest is about 1 centimeter, the biggest is about 1 inch. So they're in here, they're growing, they're producing a lot of color, they're very active, and they really enjoy this aquarium. And with all those fish, like I said, it's about 24 of those baby fish, and it's still a perfectly balanced aquarium. If it wasn't balanced, you would see something like high nitrates. I test the water weekly, and there are no high nitrates. And just like this aquarium, I haven't done a water change in about a month. So no high nitrates, no excess algae. Again, with this aquarium, I do have a bunch of neurite snails on top of that as well. But this aquarium just shows that it's balanced. And like I said, it's awesome being able to have an aquarium that doesn't rely on electricity, an aquarium that is just natural. It definitely is very pleasing to look at. So yeah, not the best look at the fish because these guys are acting a little bit shy. On top of that, being that we rely on natural light, it's not the brightest day because it's getting ready to rain. But just for a little update, that's this aquarium. Okay, so this right here is the backyard pond, about 1,000 gallons. So right now the fish are starting to transition for winter. It is fall and they're starting to slow down. They're not eating as much, they're not as active. And by winter, when we have freezing temperatures, they're going to be on standstill all the way until spring. So no eating, no swimming, just sitting there, and that's pretty amazing. But yeah, they are in transition mode, and I'm starting to transition the pond as well, trying to prepare everything for winter. 2 days ago, I just went and ripped up all the weeds that was going in the waterfall. This thing was covered with weeds, you couldn't even see the waterfall, but I just ripped them out, and now we can actually see the fall, which is pretty cool. I was moving some plants around because I was in the pond a couple of days ago trying to catch my male paradise gourami. I still haven't caught him. I was in here for like a half an hour moving stuff around. That's why the plants are all pushed together like that. But I was moving stuff around, digging, using a nets to poke in all the cracks and crannies. Couldn't find them. After half an hour I gave up, I got out, and then you see them casually just swim by. So I'm gonna have to get in there again, maybe cut all these leaves out the way, drain it down, so I could get that fish out, because he only can handle about 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And right now the nighttime temperatures are in the 50s. So it's getting a little bit uncomfortable for him. Besides that, the mosquito fish population are out of control. I have about maybe 70 of them. So I may be taking some out and feeding them to my predatorial fish. The koi, I did put some baby koi in here. I haven't seen them, but that's because likely as babies they're just trying to stay out the way of the big guys. Not that the big guys will bother them, just because it's just a natural instinct for a small fish to avoid a big fish. But yeah, this is the backyard pond. We'll be doing some maintenance pretty soon, trimming down these cattails, and yeah, just preparing it for winter. I'm going to have to install my net because all those leaves from the trees are going to have to come down. But yeah, that is the pond. Now, some of you guys wanted to see some of my other pets. We have Rocky, and of course we have the favorite Juno. Come here, Juno, come here. Everybody wants to see Juno. But yeah, that is the backyard pond.